All right, so welcome back, guys. There are a lot of ways that you can do digital painting. There might be a way that works really well for you. I'm going to show you one that I learned from Control Alt Paint. It's great information and source for that, and it works particularly well with Photoshop. Like I said, I am not an amazing painter by any or renderer by any stretch of the imagination, so I'm going to just create a simple ball so you guys can get a sense of how to render and use the techniques that I'm using to do hopefully much more awesome things than that. And once again, since this is in Photoshop, you can use all of the other techniques you've already learned in class to do more things. So first, I'm just going to give myself a basic kind of background, and I'm going to, I know this is super interesting, but once again, not the greatest drawer on earth. I'm going to create a just a simple ball drawing, and so here I'm just going to use a very hard edge here, and I'm just going to create a white ball. Now what I'm going to do is, before I do that, create a second layer. Working with layers is a really great one of the kind of big benefits of digital painting. All right, so since I've got a really hard edge there and this is a really large circle, it makes it very easy. And now I'm going to start bringing in the blending. Now, there are a couple of different ways of doing this. I could go in and we'll just use black. I could kind of do that blending and then go in with my eraser and erase the overspill, kind of like I was doing before with the paint blending thing. But let's not do that. Let's actually do something a little bit smarter. And to do that, we're going to actually come over here to the locking palette, and we're going to choose this one. This option is awesome because what it does is says that anything that is locked on this particular section that is not transparent is going to be drawn on. So now with that locked, watch what happens. Use my brush here. You guys can see that I'm only getting the colors right here where it's non-transparent. So now we're going to use, to kind of build in this section, I'm going to bring my opacity down pretty low, maybe 15% might be good. And then I'm going to make sure that, that I have a very kind of soft brush here. And then I'm just going to kind of paint in that shadow area here. So you can kind of see I'm getting a little bit more of that shading as we go in. And this is kind of the nice thing about having these kind of darker, these kind of lower opacity items. So we've got our basic highlight and darkness down there. We can go in and create a new layer. Call this shadow, and we'll make this under the ball here. I'll bring the opacity down. We can use the opacity down. I'll just shrink this down just a little bit more, and same thing, I'm just going to kind of over time slowly build up that sense. And then you always have with your shadows, you're going to have kind of that other layer that's a little bit darker. So there we've got that. And then let's get the last little bit that we would do, which, going back to my ball here, is a little bit of a sense of reflective light. So I'm going to use this to kind of get an area that is reflective, and then bringing this down just a little bit. I'm going to bring in that kind of reflective, let me go here a little bit, that kind of reflective light that we get, that's kind of a bounce off of here. So if you turn this off, you can kind of see what's happening there, but it gives you just a nice sense of the light kind of bouncing off of one section to another. So, the nice thing about this is you can go in and, for instance, if you want to, I can go to my shadow using my eraser here, and the this option works as well to kind of choose how light or dark something is. I can kind of, actually I make this a little bit more of a, I can kind of come in and push back on that shadow so it's closer there. So that is the basis of how you can go through and do some painting. You can work with these different items here and kind of keep a nice sense of dark and lights going on. You can also go in and mix and just kind of play around with stuff. I really encourage you to experiment. There are a multitude of different ways of working with these different brushes and the different techniques to find the way that works best for you. But really kind of play around with this type of stuff, look up to this, but this kind of just gives you an idea of how to bring in some of those items by sampling and blending in. All right, good luck in your painting, and if you have any questions, please let me know.